Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Welcome back to What's on the Playlist today. Today I'm going to talk about the album Excitable Boy by Warren Zevon, image of which you will see here. Excitable Boy is actually Warren Zevon's third album. He struggled a lot having any kind of success in his early career. His first album did not do well. His second album didn't do well either. He actually went to Spain for a while, lived there and played in Dublin, played in a pub called the Dubliner, played around Europe a little bit before coming back to the United States. One of the things that caused Warren Zevon a lot of, I guess, difficulty or stress was that he knew a lot of people in the industry. He knew a lot of other successful artists, and they were all having success, and he was just, not having it. It wasn't until his second album, and Linda Ronstadt actually performed and recorded her own versions of some of the songs on that album, that people started to take notice of him. And after that, he put out this album, Excitable Boy. Linda Ronstadt also does make an appearance on this. I think she sings background vocals on Excitable Boy. Also, Jackson Browne and Mick Fleetwood from Fleetwood Mac also make appearances on, I don't know which song. I think one of them makes an appearance on Laura's Guns on Money, but I don't know. I don't know the exact details of that. Just that, he had a lot of famous friends who helped him out and helped him make this album. That was actually one of the criticisms when this album came out and was successful. A lot of people said that this was a great album. It sold very well. Was Warren Zevon's most successful album too. It's certified platinum. Lots of people say it was a genius album. Bands like REM worked with Warren Zevon after this kind of thing. But yeah, one of the few criticisms of the success of this album was that Warren Zevon was relying on help from his friends to get it made. I think I have a sneeze. It passed. As for the album itself, Warren Zevon had a macabre sense of humor. I mean, this is a rock and roll album, got some solid rock and roll tunes on it. But Excitable Boy is about a sociopathic young man who grows up and murders his prom date. So definitely macabre. Same thing with Werewolves of London, Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner. All songs about that are somewhat darker in tone. Even Laura's Guns and Money, which to me is probably one of the more upbeat, good hard rockin' tunes, which I love, by the way. Laura's Guns and Money is one of those songs I gotta crank. It's just got that kind of a beat to it. But even that song has a little bit of an undertone of darkness to it. And it does seem to permeate a lot of his work. This is the only Warren Zevon album that I own. I haven't, for some reason, gone out and purchased any of the other ones. Not because I have anything against it. It's just one of those things that I never kind of got around to. But this is one of my favorite albums come out of the late 70s. And it was a staple on the radio stations that I listened to as a kid growing up. I've mentioned in the past, WBLM was a radio station that was, run by a bunch of potheads back in the good old days before it became like a big commercial success, which is a bunch of guys sitting in a trailer getting high and playing music that they liked, and they liked this record. And I think, yeah, I mean, the only songs I don't think I've ever heard on the radio are Nighttime in the Switching Yard, Veracruz, and Tenderness on the Block, which is 3 songs out of 9. The other 6 songs, that radio station would play. Although Excitable Boy, Laura's Guns and Money, and Werewolf in London were the ones that were in the heaviest rotation. And I do love all 3 of those songs, just because they're dark, but they also have a sense of humor. And I think that's another thing too that kind of draws people in. It certainly draws me in. I like people who don't take their work too seriously, which I have mentioned in the past. But yeah, these songs are dark but have an undertone of humor to them as well. And it's just good classical rock, not classical, but classic rock music. And just saying that makes me feel old. The fact that something that was, but I guess, I'm sure my in-laws feel the same thing about the music of their generation. How it's become classic. One odd little tidbit regarding Warren Zevon I once went to see him without knowing I was going to see him. I went to see the opening band. I heard that this band was coming to town. They were the opening. It's like, I didn't even see who they were opening for. I just I want to see this band. I'm just going to buy tickets just to see the opening, just see them. I don't care who they're opening for. And, the opening band played their set, and I had no intention of getting up and leaving. It was just, I paid for the concert. I'm going to sit and watch it. I didn't know who was performing because I didn't even look. It's like, who the hell, and then he came out on stage and played Werewolves London. I was like, wait, I know this song. Hey, this is Warren Zevon. I actually went to a Warren Zevon concert without even knowing I was going to a Warren Zevon concert because I didn't even bother to pay attention to it. I just went to the show. He put on a good show, by the way. He did struggle with success after this album. The follow-up albums did not sell as well. He struggled with drinking. He was sober for several years until he had a cancer diagnosis, in which he started drinking. He drank heavily again for the first time in 17 years. But he definitely had an impact on the industry. I mean, he was friendly with writers and actors and other musicians. I've mentioned, Linda Ronstadt, Mick Fleetwood, Jackson Browne. Also, he was friends with R.E.M. He was friends with the author Hunter S. Thompson. He was friends with Stephen King. I actually had a band. There was a group of writers who had a band, and Stephen King was one of them. And Warren Zevon played with them. He was friends with David Letterman. So this guy was well known and well liked within the industry. But, and they all liked his music and thought he was a great songwriter. But for some reason, there's only 2 albums that he's put out that really had any real commercial success. This and an album which I don't have called Sentimental Hygiene, which he released several years after this one. But I think not funny, but sort of interesting that a lot of his songs were more famous when they were performed by other people. Which, again, he got recognized because Linda Ronstadt covered 4 of his songs, and she continued to perform his songs and other songs that he wrote after this, and other people as well. It was just a weird little quirk that, people liked his music, just oddly not when it was performed by him, which is weird because he is a good performer. And I can say that having seen him live. Anywho, that's all I got to say about that for now. As always, thanks for watching. As always, this stuff is crap. And until next time, good hunting.